Hi guys, it's Olivia here at All or Nothing Farm. Today I wanted to talk to you about setting up your chicken's first aid kit, or just what products to have on hand for your chickens should you need them. So the first thing is pretty self-explanatory: purple nitrile gloves, or any gloves that are chemical resistant, just in case you're applying different medications or administering anti-parasitic treatments. The next thing is hydrogen peroxide, which is for cleaning out wounds that might occur either on their feet or anywhere on their body, really. I don't have it here on the table, but rubbing alcohol is also used for the same purpose, and it can also be used for sterilizing different tools such as tweezers, or if you need to use a scalpel. Okay, and then in line with wound care products, we have gauze sponges, which are useful for packing wounds or cleaning wounds. And it's also useful for covering up wounds that you've treated. So if you want to have a protective wrapping on the wound, you would put this first, and then you would secure it with some vet wrap, which you can use to cover the gauze and keep the wound protected, or you can use it to attach something like a splint if your chicken were to get a broken wing or a broken toe. You could also use it to protect an area that other chickens might peck or aggravate, which would likely be a wound because the red of the blood would agitate the other chickens. And then we have bandage scissors, which are important because they have the rounded edge, and you're a lot less likely to accidentally injure your chicken if you were to cut the gauze or vet wrap off of them. And in line with that, actually, I have a product here called Green Goo. It's a natural product, but what's nice about it is when you apply it, it tones down the appearance of the blood if you have a wound that is fresh, and the other chickens, when they see blood, they see red, they just want to peck. So if you have a product such as this to put over that, then the other chickens will be discouraged from pecking at it. This is also invaluable for wound care. Antibiotic ointment, I use Neosporin just because it's a nice triple antibiotic cream, so it takes care of most bacterial infections. You can put it basically anywhere, and it's not going to be an issue, obviously, except for the eyes. Okay, next we have clotrimazole, which is an antifungal cream. Sometimes chickens will get fungal infections on their face in particular. Let's say they're free-ranging and they dust bathe in a particularly dirty area that happens to have this in the soil. You'll notice that around their eyes will become kind of whitish. It will look like a classic yeast infection, and this will take care of that if you just apply a very thin layer with something such as Q-tips, and that will take care of the fungal infection, and you probably won't even need medication. Next we have the Microcin AH. Some people also opt to use Vetricin Plus. They're basically the same product, but they're used to spray on wounds. It's just an all-purpose spray that's great for basically anywhere that has become injured, and they are great because they have no alcohol, steroids, or antibiotics, so they're very non-irritating. That's why it's so useful to have these on hand, because if your chicken's gotten a wound in an area that's a little bit sensitive, this isn't going to hurt them. Let's see. And then we have some lubricating jelly. It's kind of gross, but you can use it to, when you have a glove on, put it on your fingers to check if your hen is egg bound. This is something that can occur, and your chicken will usually not really walk around. She'll look very puffed up and hunched over, and if you notice that there's nothing in the nesting box and she should be actively laying, this might be the issue. And if you put your fingers up and feel that there is an egg there, the next step would then be to soak your chicken in warm water to get the egg loose. You can also add epsom salt to the water, which will relax the muscles with the magnesium component. Another thing for that egg-bound condition would be crushed up Tums. It's just the common regular strength Tums medication, which is a concentrated source of calcium. And if you feed that to your hen directly, that will also work to relax the muscles, and then they can hopefully get the egg out. All right. Another thing I have here are actually dog nail clippers. I just wrote a post recently about how to trim your chicken's toenails. If you use human nail clippers, it's usually an issue because it applies uneven pressure around the nail when you're trimming it. But the dog nail clippers apply even pressure as you're trimming, so then you shouldn't have the issue of splintering or creating a wound. If you trim the nail too short, you can hit the quick, which is the vein in the middle of the nail, and that will cause excessive bleeding. So it's really good to have something such as blood stop powder on hand. If you read my post, you know that I'm actually recommending cornstarch over this. Even though it's good to have on hand, it might help for other wounds. I feel like the cornstarch was quicker acting for the nail issue. All right, and then as far as diagnosing what your chicken might have, a common issue is parasitic infections. So I actually have 3 different products on hand just in case that might occur. The first one is Corid, which is a liquid suspension that is marketed for bovine, but it's also appropriate for poultry. If your chickens have a severe outbreak, then they will experience bloody diarrhea. Actually, about 9 times out of 10 that you see bloody diarrhea, it's because of coccidiosis, which is a protozoan that causes the infection that Corid treats. So if you have a severe outbreak, you're going to want to put 2 teaspoons per 1 gallon of water for 5 days as the sole drinking source. You wouldn't offer them any other water source. And then for a more moderate outbreak, you would use 1 teaspoon in 1 gallon of water for 5 days. Very effective. Next, for parasitic infections, we have Wazine. I haven't used this product yet, but it's really suggested to have it on hand because you can put it in your drinking water, whether you have chickens or turkeys, and it will get rid of large roundworms and other nodular worms. And it's easy to use because you just put it in their drinking water, and there's a egg withdrawal period, but it's not too long. It's 14 days only. And then lastly, for the anti-parasitic medications, I have Safeguard. This is a dewormer that's marketed for goats. It's a liquid suspension, 10%, that's 100 milligrams per milliliter. And this is actually a great broad spectrum anti-parasitic. It's poorly absorbed by the chicken. So let's say that your chicken is acting strange and you think that it might be parasites. Even if it's not and you give them this, they're not going to really absorb much of it in their intestines, so it's not going to hurt them. That's the benefit of using this. And the dose is depending on the size of the chicken, but it's 1/4 cc for smaller birds and then 1/2 cc for larger chickens. And it's easy to administer with these very small syringes. They are 3 cc's, which is the same as 3 milliliters. And as you can see, there's a needle on this portion, but it screws off. So if you were to open this and take the needle off, it just looks like this. And you can, take up the oral suspension, and then you would apply it in the back of their throat. You would be very careful because they can aspirate liquids underneath their tongue, so you'd have to push it very far back. But this is the easiest way to administer oral medications because it's small and it fits perfectly in the back of their mouth. And then general products that are just really good to have if your chicken is a little bit off, or maybe you think something is wrong but you're not quite sure what and it's not severe. It's good to have vitamins and electrolytes, even if they're recovering from the parasitic infection and they're on the other medication. It's also good to add this to your water because it will make them stronger and better able to deal with the issue that they're dealing with. Another thing that's also beneficial is probiotics, because they strengthen the immune system of your poultry, and these are two different products, but they're both probiotics, and they supply beneficial microorganisms so that the chickens have a better chance of recovering from whatever they are experiencing. So these are the things that I have on the table, but there are a few other products that you might find useful as well. We're currently headed into winter here at All or Nothing Farm, but in the warmer months, it is very beneficial to have children's Benadryl on hand. If your chicken were to get stung by a wasp or other insect, you can dose with up to 0.5 milliliters per day, and that would be it. You can't do any more than that, but that can help them if they were to have an unfavorable reaction to the insect bite or sting. Another product that is useful, although I haven't really had to worry about much here, is saline solution. If you live in a very dusty, dry environment, when they're dust bathing, or even just if the air is very dusty, you might find it beneficial to flush out their eyes with the saline solution, or else they may get a corneal scratch or some sort of eye infection from the debris. And then the last thing, let's say that they have a wound that is pretty severe, and you can tell that it's causing a lot of pain. Chickens are prey animals, so they don't really show when they're in a lot of pain. So if you're noticing something's wrong with your chicken, they probably already are experiencing quite a bit of pain. You can give them uncoated aspirin for pain management. You would take 5 tablets of uncoated aspirin, which would be 324 milligrams total, and you would mix that in a gallon of water, and you can give that to them as their drinking source, and that would take care of any pain they might be experiencing. Well, I hope you found this useful and you are able to get a good start on your chicken first aid kit, or you saw some products that you would like to add to your current kit. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any ideas for future videos, please post them in the comments. This is Olivia from All or Nothing Farm.